No headlines, no press release or briefings. No announcement. FBI Director Kash Patel made a secret visit to China last week on Friday. According to an exclusive Reuters report, Kash Patel traveled to China to hold discussions on fentanyl and law enforcement cooperation, according to two individuals familiar with the visit. The trip followed a summit between Trump and Xi in South Korea, during which both leaders emphasized a shared consensus on addressing these issues. Patel's visit to Beijing was not officially announced by either the U.S. or China. China's Ministry of Public Security and the U.S. Embassy in Beijing did not respond to requests for comment. On Monday, China's Ministry of Commerce announced plans to update its list of drug-related precursor chemicals and to mandate export licenses for specific substances being shipped to the United States, Canada, and Mexico. After reaching an agreement with Chinese President Xi Jinping during talks last month, U.S. President Donald Trump decided to reduce the punitive tariffs on Chinese goods to 10%, a cut made in response to efforts addressing the fentanyl trade issue. Xi will work very hard to stop the flow of fentanyl, a deadly synthetic opioid that is the leading cause of American overdose deaths, Trump told reporters after the talks. The 100-minute Trump-Xi meeting reinforced China's firm pushback against U.S. measures as both sides expanded their use of economic and political tools. While moving beyond tariffs, the U.S. tried to pressure China with export controls, port fees, visa restrictions, and sanctions. China made the U.S. taste its own medicine as China was ready to counter Trump with its own effective toolkit. Beijing's most effective tactics have included soybean trade, the TikTok deal, and rare earth export controls. The agreement marked a change in approach for the Trump administration, which had previously maintained that sanctions would stay in effect until China demonstrated concrete action against fentanyl trafficking networks. During the Trump-Xi meeting, China's primary goal was to halt further U.S. measures such as imposing tariffs or sanctions. No new tariffs or fees were introduced, and China was quite successful in that. However, Chinese officials strongly defend their fentanyl control efforts, claiming they've tightened regulations on precursor chemicals and accusing Washington of using the issue as blackmail. But with FBI Chief Kash Patel's secret visit to China, it will be interesting to see how U.S.-China relations will evolve in the near future amid the ongoing fentanyl crisis. Yet one question still remains. Why the secret visit? Why no announcement like other visits? Is it diplomacy or damage control?
I want to talk a little bit about China's malign influence here in America. And, we've seen spy balloons traverse the United States. We've seen police stations in communities around America. And sitting in the chair you're in just 2 years ago, there was a sheriff from Cochise County, Arizona, Mark Daniels, that was here, who said that the exponential increase in the amount of fentanyl that is coming into America is directly related to the open borders policies of the previous administration. Do you agree with Sheriff Daniels' characterization?
In large part, yes.
So since you've been director, has there been a reduction we've talked about how the border is largely secure now, right?
The southern border, yes, sir.
The southern border is largely secure. Has there been a concomitant reduction or a reduction in the amount of fentanyl that is coming into America?
There has been a massive reduction to the tune of, we have seized more than 25% year-to-date this year than the prior year, and that's enough fentanyl to kill 120 million Americans.
Does China play a role in this fentanyl that's coming to America?
As I stated in my opening, sir, what they do and the companies in China, mainland China, do is produce the precursors and the cutting agents that they ship overseas through various countries into the Mexican drug cartels who produce it. So they basically are the cooks in terms of the ingredients.
Tell us, what is the FBI doing to stop China from delivering death to America?
So for the first time in a decade, I actually reached out to my counterpart at the Ministry of Public Security. No one at the FBI had done so. To engage.
Ministry of Security, where's that?
In mainland China.
In mainland China, okay, thank you.
To engage in a conversation to say, hey, can we have a certain number of these precursor chemicals listed in China so that they become illegal and illegal to trade. We're also working with our counterparts in places like India and Guatemala because the transshipment routes of the precursors, the Mexican drug cartels have gotten creative, and instead of coming directly to America are going into these countries. And we've had massive success in India and Guatemala, and in those governments, great partnerships in shutting down the ability to ship the precursors into those countries, which are ultimately destined to America.
So those people that are working with security agencies have been working with you, is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Let's recap and watch what Trump said after his meeting with Xi in South Korea, when the POTUS slashed fentanyl tariffs on China to 10%.
I thought it was an amazing meeting. He's a great leader of a very powerful, very strong country, China. And I mean, what can I say? We have, it was an outstanding group of decisions, I think, that was made. A lot of decisions were made, too. There wasn't too much left out there. And we've come to conclusion on many very important points, and we'll be handing that to you in a little while. We're having, because there was a lot of different things, many of them very important. We're in agreement on so many elements, large amounts, tremendous amounts of the soybeans and other farm products are going to be purchased immediately, starting immediately. If you notice, President Xi authorized yesterday for China to start, did you know that, right? China to start buying in very large quantities of soybeans and other things, which I appreciated. That was a very nice gesture. And many other things like that. On fentanyl, we agreed that he was going to work very hard to stop the flow. You know, it's a very complex subject because it's used for lots of different reasons, including anesthetics and things. But he's going to work very hard on it, precursors, and I think you're going to see some real action taken. I've agreed, as you know, I put a 20% tariff on China because of the fentanyl coming in, which is it's a big tariff. And based on his statements today, I reduced it by 10%, so it's 10% instead of 20%, effective immediately. I believe he's going to work very hard to stop the death that's coming in. But again, it's complex because of what fentanyl is, what the precursors do. So I think you're going to see a big difference. We've had discussions on many of the elements that you're talking about all the time. You're asking me questions, and most of those things were I think agreed to for the most part. I think we agreed to almost everything in a very acceptable form. I wouldn't say everything was discussed because there were things that probably, in retrospect, we could have discussed and we didn't, for some reason, didn't come up.